Administration Pipeline Hazardous Material Safety Administration, Department of Transportation, United States. I'm going to change this down to 75%. This is Official Hazardous Material Opman, June 2007. About this manual, the introduction, the audience of the manual, the comments, interested persons, updating the manual, the HM program overview, the official hazard materials enforcement personnel, general inspection procedures, Chapter 5, Chapter 6, inspection planning, conducting the inspection, recording the inspection, enforcing procedures, Chapter 9, Chapter 10, enforcement action procedures, Chapter 11, purchasing hazard material testing, Chapter 12, packaging compliance and testing program, Chapter 13, training, 14, ticketing program, Chapter 15, inspecting program, purpose, scope, and procedures, investigator safety, appendix forms and records, and Chapter 1, about this manual, Section 1.1, introduction. This manual is an instrument of program management issued and solely under the guidance of the Office of Hazardous Material Enforcement personnel. It neither creates nor abridges any private right of obligation. The guidance provided by the manual may be revoked or modified without prior notice and memorandum. The Associate Administrator of Hazardous Material Safety. This manual has been prepared and designated for Office of the Hazardous Material Enforcement, the OHME. The Associate Administrator of Hazardous Material Safety, the AHMS. The Pipeline Hazardous Material Safety Administration, the PHMSA. The manual prescribes a manner in which transportation specialist enforcement and functional title of Hazardous Material Investigator HMES shall engage in inspection and enforcement activities to assure compliance with the rules and regulations and the standards, orders, and special permits and approval issued by the PHMSA, such as the other activities as may be assigned. The policy, directive, procedures, guidelines contained in the manual are designed to assure effective use of available resources by adhering to their policies, directive, procedures, and guidelines. You will uniformly consistently imply and enforce hazardous material HMR regulations throughout the nation. The uniform is necessary for effective program management and execution. You should refer to this manual as often as necessary to obtain clear understanding of the role in carrying the OHME mission. They encourage to review the manual thoroughly and report any errors, unclear statements properly to the Supervisor Director of OHME. The manual government property must be treated as such. Comments, suggestions, and further changes, additions are invited and should be forwarded to direct OHME through the Supervisor. Section 1.2, the purpose of the manual. The purpose operator manual describes the policy procedures to be used in inspection investigation conducted on the OHME. The manual addresses the entire spectrum of the procedures and policy, in addition with the focusing of more field-operated aspects of the compliance inspection investigation intended as training manual, desk reference, and a field manual for training field investigators or unit supervisors, program management personnel. Although not specifically written for them, the manual will also assist the legal personnel. The training manual. The manual serves as a complementary test for the investigative training program. Although the manual is primarily designed for the OHME staff, states planning to institution hazardous material enforcement program may also be used in the manual orientation and training for the personnel. The reference manual. The manual serves as a reference manual for professional enforcement staff in carrying out of responsibility in field surveillance, facilities inspection, enforcement activities. It contains authorities, objectives, responsibility, policy, procedures required enforcement staff to do this job. To see the field manual, you may choose or carry this manual as entirely into the field or remove only selected portions of the e.g. safety operation and report to the ETC. The manual contains sample forms that should be used in investigation, supplemented documentation, field notes, particularly to assure that all important areas in the investigation have been covered, and the forms are divided into two different types: one general, covering the requirements that apply to all facilities; two specific, shipment observation, cylinder observation, radioactive materials observation, IM portable tank cylinder retester inspection report. You should carry general forms, specific forms, operator of the facility being inspected and investigated. For example, as facility might be a shipper as a cylinder retest. In such cases, general forms as examples of facility might be a shipper and a cylinder retester, and such as general forms as well as a cylinder retester inspection report. The cylinder observation report should be used in forms as are located in Appendix A of this manual. Section 1.3, intended audience of the manual. The manual is a guide for the PHMSA professional enforcement staff. Using the user of this manual encouraged to enforce officer suggestion, revision, constructive criticism to keep the manual from useful working tool. Section 1.4, comments from interested persons. The required Freedom of Information Act of 5 U.S.C. Code 552. The manual is available for public review. Interested persons are invited to constructive comments regarding to the content of the manual, making recommendations regarding to the material that should be added. And Section 5, updating the manual. As changes and revisions, deletions occur, revised pages will be sent out to the manual holders. Operation manual transmittal notices. The notice will be identified and described, and information being used and issued. Each page of the manual is identified to the top with the name of the manual and the date. At the operator intervals, a checklist of the current pages will be issued to show that each page number and test. Latest issue checklist is received, and the manual holder should check the dates for the pages are in their manual and file the checklist as the front of incoming. Chapter 2, HM Program Overview.